Hello there and welcome to CRM Systems Group's presentation of CRM construction. This presentation will focus on Sage 300 project and job cost, Sage CRM, and the CRM timesheets component. This is a powerful combination of applications, leverages all of the capabilities of Sage 300 project and job cost, which is of course built on top of all of the standard other modules within Sage 300, general ledger, accounts receivable, accounts payable, payroll, etc. And it's kind of a pinnacle that ties all of these things together. It also builds upon Sage CRM, award-winning CRM application that covers everything from collaboration, data capture, content management, applications for opportunity management, customer service, and customer self-service online. It builds upon these two best-of-breed solutions to get an even better end result. As a result of all of this, the options for growth are virtually limitless, especially when we factor in that the CRM application is browser-based, is accessible via the cloud or on-premise, and on virtually any appropriately sized device. Sage 300 Project and Job Cost module is a core 300 module. It has powerful project and job costing capabilities, tracking, invoicing, financial reporting, etc., job by job, which is wonderful, particularly in industries such as construction, where we're very much a job-based organization. And Sage CRM, which includes all of the core CRM applications, including, as I said, collaboration, both intra and inter-organizationally, and the CRM timesheets capability, which provides things such as project reporting, timesheet entry, flexible anywhere device access, and consolidation of data between CRM and ERP, and potentially other solutions as well. So let's get in and take a quick look. The first thing we're going to look at is Sage 300, which we have here, and the project and job cost module. The contract maintenance function here gives us an overview of what projects look like in PJC, and essentially how it works is that there's a three-level structure. The first one is that we have contracts, and contracts could span multiple projects, right? So if you signed up a client and you were going to do multiple jobs for them, building of multiple buildings or multiple, say, municipal roadways or sewers or whatever you happen to be building, you may have a contract, and then within that contract you may have one or more projects. And then inside that project, you may have multiple phases, right? So in this sample project, we have multiple phases where we're doing different things from design to construction to finishing to quality control, etc. These are all different phases throughout that particular project. And then inside a phase, you can have different categories of services or work or labor, etc. Such as here we have subcontractors and management labor, but they can be, categories are defined by you, so it can be however you sign them up. And then inside each one of those categories, you can have budgets, estimates, and so forth. So here we can see we have original estimates versus current estimates. Current estimate will be revised based on any change orders that have been processed throughout the procedure. And then, of course, those can be compared to actuals as data is recorded in against this contract, project, phase, and category of services or other items. You can define what general ledger accounts things go to. Of course, you could have specific general ledger accounts to individual projects, or they could be grouped together. That's entirely up to you. You can have retainage configurations in terms of billing and payables, transaction detail options, and then any optional values you wanted to track about a project. That's entirely up to you. Okay, so that's the overall structure. So a few things that you can do, and this is only very high level introduction, is you can do things such as record material usage. So in this case, for example, raw materials or supplies that you wanted to apply to a project, you can record them here. So for example, this particular contract and project, we've got a whiteboard. Perhaps we've put it into the site office at that particular location, a whiteboard for project planning, etc. Maybe it goes into the trailer on site, and we can do things such as say that it's billable. So we're going to rent this to the client. Essentially, they're going to pay a fee for that. We've actually sent 10 of them over, and it's $40 each for the use of those items. Now that's something where they're consuming them. So those are going to go and they're never going to come back. Those are consumables in that particular type of example. But we can also do things such as have material allocation. So if we were going to, say, take some equipment, maybe some tools, maybe the actual site office trailer, we're going to put it on site and then we're going to bring it back. We can use material allocations for that, where we can take a particular type of product. In this case, it's whiteboard as well. This time we're going to put it out in the site office and bring it back, but it could be the site office itself. We're going to put it onto that project and we're going to have a rental fee, right, for them essentially to rent those for a temporary period of time. Once it's done, we can use the material returns function to bring those items back and return them into our local inventory. So relatively straightforward capabilities there. The next thing that we do a lot of in these types of projects may be related to labor. And so there's functionality in here for time cards. And time cards would be the actual hours and so forth that would be worked by individual people. Here we have a time card for Freddie Cervantes. And for this contract in this project, he's been performing some management labor. He's the site supervisor. And then we have all of the days of the week for the week in question. We've got the start date and end date defined here, how much time he put in on each of these days. Now, this information could be used, can go basically in two directions, right? It can go out for billing if we're doing a time and materials type billing on the project, and you can have time and materials or fixed price projects that have, for example, incremental billings or all at once. Those are various different options. But it will also then flow from here into payroll so that Freddie here can get paid. Now, it of course also will accrue to the project itself to determine project cost, actual project costs, to do the financial analysis of the project. So really, I guess in the end, it goes in three different directions. So that's a timesheet within ERP. The thing about it is that most of the time your site supervisors and so forth aren't actually going to be in ERP. They're going to be in the site office or somewhere else where they aren't logging into your accounting system. So what is one to do? Well, these types of staff, as with most others, will have access to the CRM environment to do all of their standard things, such as share documents and file emails and look up contact information and make notes about progress and so forth. So within the CRM environment, what we have is under new, we have new timesheet. And choosing this option will take us into timesheet entry in the CRM environment, which is accessible on tablet, on desktop, on laptop, and on other types of devices, perhaps even on a mobile that has an appropriately sized screen. So we would click on timesheet to go in and access that function. Okay, so once we've clicked new timesheets, we would pick the date that we wanted to record time for. So for example, I'll do it on the 11th of April. It's for me. This would auto-select whoever I am logged into CRM as. And I can choose to initialize my timesheet either based on the previous workday. So whatever the previous workday is that I had entered into the system. So if this was a Monday, for example, it would pull the Friday. Or if I had a timesheet on Saturday, it would pull that, whatever the last workday was. Or I can initialize based on projects that I've selected. And then here I can choose from a list of projects that I'm authorized to enter time for. I'll go ahead and do that. And then I hit go, and the system will initialize a timesheet and put onto it all the various different employees that are configured to work on that particular project. And you can see here that the various columns we have is the project site, the project location. So that's kind of a two-stage. So if you had a large construction site, for example, you might have multiple locations within that site where the person is working, say Tower 1 and Tower 2 or something like that. And then you've got different columns here for different types of time. So regular time, time and a half, that would be overtime. Travel time, if they're being paid based on time, or travel dollars if they're being reimbursed. Dollars, say on mileage, for example, in relation to travel, admin time, etc. So for each one of these, I can choose project, choose location, choose the employee, and then fill in the various amounts of time. The amount after the slash here is the total for the week. So this particular work week, we can see here, for example, that this made up 1 of 2 total for the week, etc. These fields here happen to have been defaulted because this employee at this project location is configured to have standard amounts in there. You can see the user can change them, the supervisor, but they are there for standard. Now, if you needed to add additional lines to this grid, you can just click Add New Entries, and it'll automatically stick 10 additional blank lines on there, which you could then go ahead and choose additional values for. So a new project, a location, a staff member, and then of course you could enter in the amount of time. And then when done, we click Save. So this timesheet then is going to transfer its way, after it's been approved, into the project and job cost module, where of course related to the project that it's associated with. So your project here is related to the project and job cost. It's going to transfer over into the PJC timesheet, which then of course feeds into billing and costing and so forth, and of course down into payroll to actually get the employees paid. Now, returning into the ERP environment, I just would like to cover a couple of brief topics in relation to accounts payable, purchase orders, and accounts receivable. So we've talked about timesheets flowing their way into job costs. That's one possible source of data. Another one could be, for example, purchase orders. So when creating a purchase order in the Sage 300 environment, so we need some supplies to be delivered onto this project, we can go ahead and this is the purchase order entry screen here. We can punch in our vendor number, which in this case will be 1450. When we do that, you'll see that we have the ability to mark this purchase order as job related. This is an integration between job cost and accounts payable. And in doing so, we can now go ahead and when we add our lines here onto the PO, we can choose for which project, for which contract, for which project, and for which category of billing that we would want this to be part of. And then we can go on to do things such as choose the item number that it is that we want to be purchasing and quantity and so forth. So that's the integration of the job cost module into purchase order. This doesn't have any financial implication at this point. At a later time, this inventory will be received into 300 using the receipt entry. This is a PO receipt entry function. That would then actually update inventory if the inventory was actually being received and so forth. At that point, then later, an account payable transaction will occur when the vendor invoice is received. And so that's invoice entry. And what you'll see is when you're receiving an invoice into the system, it works much the same way. So if we put vendor 1450 here, we can actually receive this from a purchase order if we wanted to, like the invoice could come from there. But similarly, we have the ability to mark this invoice as job related, and then the same thing. We would mark the contract, the project, and the category, etc. when entering the lines of the vendor invoice. As a result of doing that, of course, that invoice would be applied to the project, become part of the cost of the project, and flow into the financials of the project. So that's the accounts payable side. And the last one that I wanted to show you is actually in terms of accounts receivable. So on the AR side, there's two different ways you could go about billing for a project. Okay, the first one is that actually in project and job costing, you can go into the AR billing module and you can create a billing worksheet, which will actually allow you to assemble bills from within the project. So if you're doing a time and materials billing, for example, you would be able to create it using that function. If I actually pull up a billing worksheet here that's already in the system, this is for this client. We can see that on 3 different projects for 3 different categories of labor, billings have been created, and then when we drill down, what we'll see that actually happens is that an AR invoice is opened and displayed. So that worksheet process, which I'm not going to go through in detail here, is used to generate the invoices, which are then tied to the job through the same sort of functionality, job related, contract, project, and category. You can also manually bill. So if you had, say, fixed billing intervals or something of that nature, you wouldn't necessarily need to go through the billing worksheet. You could actually go into invoice entry in accounts receivable. You can generate a new invoice. In this case, I'm going to bill this Toronto Black customer 1200. I can mark it as job related. And then once again, I can choose what contract is it that I'm billing for, what project is it that I'm billing for, and what category of items is it that I'm billing for, if there is one, right? And then I could put in details such as what I'm selling, the selling price, and all that sort of stuff. So if you're doing fixed incremental billings on a fixed price project, you might actually choose to do it this way. So those are the basics of some of the sub-ledger modules and their integration into project and job costing. So that brings us to the end of this particular demonstration. Of course, this was just very high level, but we do appreciate you taking the time to listen. If you do have additional questions or you'd like more information, you can contact us on the web at our website, crmsystems.com, by email or by social media, or of course, we still do have telephones and we'd be happy to hear from you there. Thank you very much.